So hi, so I will be talking about computer vision, and so don't worry, there won't be any deep learning in this work. So why computer vision works nowadays? So you might want to say, oh, I know the answer is because we have deep learning models, we have very powerful GPU. So that's right, but the most important thing is that now we have a high quality annotated dataset. So for instance, for image recognition, we have the ImageNet dataset, which contains a lot of images that were all annotated by a person. And so it's the same for object detection or segmentation. For instance, for object detection, people also put bounding box on object. And for semantic segmentation, they also annotate it at the pixel level each of the object. And so there is two primes for this approach. So the first one is that it costs a lot of money to do that. So it might be okay for big companies, but the second prime is the time. So it might take also a lot of time to annotate this kind of data set, especially, for instance, for semantic segmentation. And so we want to have some model that can actually go beyond the need of annotating data set. And so our goal was actually to build a model, for instance, that could actually watch a lot of movies together with some textual scripts. So if you're not familiar with a movie script, you just need to know that it describes what you see on the movie, and you have also the dialogues, and you know who are speaking. And so you can use this to actually supervise the model. And it's some kind of free annotation, because if you go on the internet, you can find a lot of scripts for the movies. So at the end, you want the model to be able to recognize so who are the characters and what they are doing in the movies, given pre-extracted person tracks. And so there are too many challenges for this. So the first one is the weak and noisy supervision, of course. So for instance, if you look at this scene from American Beauty, and you have the Alan script with it. So Caroline is driving, Jane stares out the window, and you have this three-person track. So you know that, for instance, Jane appears in this scene, but you still have the ambiguity of who is Jane. So it may be one of the three-person track. And you have the same ambiguity for the action. So you know that someone is driving, but who? It's not very clear because you don't have the one-to-one correspondence. And so to deal with this problem, we designed a model based on discriminative clustering. So if you are not familiar with discriminative clustering, let's say you are in a supervised setting where, for instance, you have this data set and you want to fit a ridge regression. So you have X, the data, W, the linear classifier you want to learn, and Y, the label. So here the solution is straightforward. So you have this solution. And in the unsupervised setting, here you have the data set, but not with the labels. So you don't have Y. And you actually like to optimize also with respect to W and Y at the same time. But the problem with this formulation is that if you solve this optimization problem, you have some trivial solution, for instance, with W and Y equal to 0. So we will have some degenerated solution. And so to deal with this problem, you also have the weakly supervised setting, where you still do not have any labels for the data, but you have some cues about what they can possibly be. So for instance, you can infer that in the blue area, you should have at least one sample of the blue class, and on the red area, at least one of the red. And so if you solve this problem with respect to this constraint, you can have some interesting solution that can be exploited. And so the goal would be actually to find this constraint for the problem. So to sum up, so let's say we have this discriminative clustering cost. X are the person track features, so we extract some features using some CNN on the person tracks. W is the linear classifier we want to learn that map the person track to, let's say, a name or an action given by latent variable Y that we actually do not have. And so we want also to have Y that is part of some specific constraint set that I'm going to explain now. So for instance, let's take this scene as an example, and you want to do person recognition. So you have 7 person track, and you have the character name for each of them. And so this matrix Y is the one that you want to recover, but you do not have. And so let's say from the script that you know that Lester, this guy, appear on this scene. So you know that at least one of the 7 person is Lester. So if you do the sum of the Lester column, you should have something that is actually greater or equal than 1, which is indeed true. If you, the background characters also appear a lot in the movie per definition, so you should also expect a lot high value if you do the sum of the green column. So you can say that the sum of this column should be greater or equal than a certain percentage of the track. And you can also say that each person track is mapped to a unique person. So it means that if you do the sum of each row, they should be equal to 1. So here you can see that you have different linear constraints that actually can impose some weak supervision on the program. And so the second challenge here is the scalability. So we need an algorithm that can scale to as many movies as possible in order to learn something interesting from this very weak supervision. And so one of our contribution is to build a solver that can actually solve this problem in an online manner. So I'm not going to get into the details of it, but just need to know that it uses some block coordinate Frankhofer approach to actually solve this problem by subsampling some block of the matrix Y you want to optimize. Because before, what people do is that they optimize the problem in the batch manner, so they have to put everything into the memory, and it's not feasible if you have a dataset of hundreds of movies. And so we applied this algorithm on a lot of movies, and we see a clear improvement by training on more and more movies, for instance, for action recognition. And so also this video shows the result for person recognition, and it performs especially well when having to deal with a lot of background characters, so which are in green. And last thing, so the most important thing is that, so I think it goes just beyond the task of recognizing person and action in movies, because we managed to scale up the task of discriminative clustering and weak supervision. And so this framework that actually use both of them is used in a lot of models. For instance, in this paper, also from the lab, so where they try to model some relation between objects, and so they use some weak supervision, and so it's the same model. So we managed to large scale also this model, and we also have a lot of models that use the same framework on video understanding that I can detail later on if you want. Thank you.